Hello friends. Have you ever wondered what it's like to have a deep, sensual, almost otherworldly connection in bed, with someone who feels everything? Welcome to the world of Pisces, the dreamy, emotional, endlessly romantic water sign. But here's the thing, not every zodiac sign knows how to handle that depth. When it comes to sexual compatibility, Pisces doesn't just want sparks, they want soul bonding, eye contact holding, transcendent experiences. So, let's dive into the sensual undercurrents and see how Pisces meshes with every other zodiac sign, behind closed doors. Pisces plus Aries. When Pisces and Aries collide in the bedroom, it's like lighting a candle underwater. Something magical might happen, but only if you understand the rules of both elements. Aries, ruled by Mars, is fiery, impulsive, and thrives on the thrill of the chase. Their energy is bold and kinetic, a lover who moves fast, leads hard, and craves intensity. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, brings an entirely different kind of energy, soft, emotional, intuitive, and deeply imaginative. While Aries is looking for fireworks, Pisces is scripting a slow-burning love poem that unfolds like a dream sequence. At first, their differences can feel electric. There's undeniable intrigue. Aries is attracted to Pisces' mysterious, elusive vibe, the dreamy eyes, the gentle energy, the softness they rarely see in the world. Pisces, in turn, is drawn to Aries' confidence, their boldness, their "I want you now" heat. It's like a moth drawn to a flame. Pisces feels alive in Aries' presence. The anticipation builds, the tension crackles, and the sex. It's passionate. Almost cinematic. But here's the twist, Pisces is playing a romance movie, while Aries thinks it's an action thriller. Aries may dive straight into the act, all heat and hunger, while Pisces might crave the slow build-up, the emotional connection, the meaningful glances, the teasing. To Pisces, every touch is a message. Every kiss carries an emotion. Aries, on the other hand, might not understand why foreplay is taking longer than the main event. That's where friction can start. In their best moments, Aries can teach Pisces to be bolder in their desires, to own their sensuality without shame. Pisces can teach Aries the beauty of lingering, of letting the moment stretch, breathe, and deepen. If Aries can learn to listen, not just to words, but to vibes, to unspoken signals, and if Pisces can communicate their needs clearly without retreating into fantasy, the sex can become more than physical. It can become transcendent. However, challenges are real. Aries may get impatient with Pisces' emotional depth, seeing it as overly sensitive or dramatic. Pisces might feel hurt by Aries' directness or lack of tenderness, interpreting it as cold or unfeeling. Aftercare, physical touch, emotional reassurance, words of affection, is crucial here. Without it, Pisces can spiral into self-doubt, and Aries can move on too fast, unaware they've left an emotional mess behind. But when these two get it right, when Aries slows down just enough to notice the poetry in Pisces' touch, and Pisces trusts Aries enough to fully express their desire, the experience can be unforgettable. It's a rare blend of instinct and intimacy, drive and devotion. Verdict: electric attraction with a learning curve. Sex can be thrilling and wild, but emotional misalignment may lead to misunderstandings. If Aries can be more emotionally present and Pisces more assertive, the passion could evolve into something deeper than either expected. Pisces plus Taurus. When Pisces and Taurus come together, the bedroom stops being a physical place, it becomes a temple. This isn't just sex. It's worship. Two deeply sensual souls meeting at the perfect crossroads, one grounded in the body, the other floating in dreams. Taurus, ruled by Venus, is the embodiment of earthy pleasure, slow, luxurious, touch-driven. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is the soul of fantasy, intuitive, emotional, and spiritually attuned. Together, they create a kind of magic that most people only read about in romance novels. What makes this pairing so effortlessly sensual is the shared value they place on intimacy, real intimacy. Not just the act, but the connection, the atmosphere, the mood. Taurus is all about the senses. Silk sheets, candlelight, good music, delicious scents. They'll draw a bath before drawing the curtains. Pisces, meanwhile, thrives in those kinds of settings. They don't just appreciate the beauty, they feel it in their skin. For them, a well-lit room with the right kind of energy can be more arousing than anything explicit. In the bedroom, Taurus brings the stamina and the hands. Oh, the hands! Strong, slow, confident. Every movement is intentional, every touch lingers. Pisces responds like water around a rock, fluid, melting, yielding, yet full of depth. There's no rush here. Taurus wants to take their time, and Pisces needs time to feel safe, to open, to dissolve into the experience. Their rhythms align in a way that feels like an extended exhale, long, steady, soothing. Foreplay between these two. Practically an art installation. Taurus enjoys the ritual of touch, massaging, kissing, exploring every inch. Pisces leans into it, turning every caress into an emotional exchange. Their bodies speak fluently in silence. Eye contact lingers, breath slows, and time blurs. It's the kind of connection where hours pass unnoticed, and neither of them wants to leave the bed, or even open their eyes. Taurus also offers something Pisces craves more than they often admit: emotional safety. Pisces lives in a world of swirling feelings, often overwhelmed by their own sensitivity. Taurus, by contrast, is solid, the dependable presence who grounds the waves without trying to stop them. In sex, this translates into deep trust. Pisces can be vulnerable, wild, emotionally raw, and Taurus simply holds space for it all. That trust unlocks a level of intimacy that's rare. When Pisces feels safe, their sexual energy becomes transcendental. They give everything: mind, body, and soul. And the best part? Taurus wants that. They don't mind being the rock in the storm. They love being the provider of pleasure. They take pride in their lover's satisfaction. And Pisces? They love to be taken care of, gently, thoroughly, almost reverently. This can turn into a dynamic of mutual devotion where both partners feel deeply seen, desired, and satisfied. Of course, there are potential pitfalls. If Taurus becomes too predictable or stuck in routine, Pisces might drift, not physically, but emotionally. They need moments of fantasy, unpredictability, escape. Taurus should be careful not to dismiss Pisces' dreamy side as impractical, because in the bedroom, that dreaminess is a superpower. On the flip side, Pisces needs to be mindful of staying grounded enough to communicate what they want and not assume Taurus will magically intuit every feeling. Though, to be fair, Taurus is surprisingly good at reading a partner's body language. But overall, this is a deeply nourishing sexual connection. One rooted in touch, trust, and total surrender. They're not just good together in bed, they heal each other. It's the kind of lovemaking that softens the world outside, that lingers in the skin for days, that creates a space where both partners feel more alive. Verdict: this is a sensual masterpiece. Taurus anchors Pisces' dreams, Pisces elevates Taurus pleasures. They're both slow lovers, deep feelers, and physical romantics. The sex isn't just good, it's restorative. This is the kind of pairing that makes you believe in soulmates, and long weekends with no plans except each other. Pisces plus Gemini. Imagine a dreamer and a talker meeting in the middle of a maze, holding hands for a moment before wandering off in different directions. That's Pisces and Gemini. On the surface, there's undeniable intrigue. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is intellectually sharp, fast-talking, curious, and always hungry for new experiences. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is deeply emotional, spiritually attuned, and often wrapped in layers of unspoken feeling. The result? A sexual dynamic that can be thrilling, experimental, and wildly unpredictable, but also emotionally disorienting for one or both parties. To begin with, there's a certain magnetic pull here. Gemini loves variety, and Pisces is a walking fantasy. Their softness, their mystery, the way they move like they're gliding through a dream, it fascinates the curious Gemini mind. Meanwhile, Pisces can be drawn to Gemini's wit and spontaneity. They seem so alive, so in the moment, so easy with pleasure and words. And in the early stages, this pairing can feel like a creative explosion in bed. Gemini brings dirty talk, clever seduction, and a playful, adventurous spirit. Pisces brings intensity, imagination, and a willingness to try anything that feels emotionally or sensually interesting. If there's anyone who can pull Pisces into a role-play fantasy involving costumes, accents, and storytelling, it's definitely Gemini. But here's the rub, they're operating from different dimensions. Pisces wants the emotional why behind the physical how. They crave depth, meaning, soul-to-soul connection, sex that makes them feel dissolved in someone else's essence. Gemini, on the other hand, might be more interested in how many different ways they can flip the script, how many positions they can try, or how much fun they can squeeze into one night. It's not that Gemini lacks depth, it's that they often keep it compartmentalized. And Pisces? They don't have compartments. They are the emotion, all the time. This means Pisces might interpret Gemini's lightness as emotional detachment. Why are you joking during foreplay? Why did you pull out your phone 5 minutes after sex? Meanwhile, Gemini might feel overwhelmed by Pisces' intense need for connection. Why are we crying? Why do we need to talk about our past lives again? What starts as hot and novel can quickly become a confusing emotional mismatch. Still, when it works, even for a short time, it can be unforgettable. Gemini's quicksilver mind can awaken new fantasies in Pisces that they never thought they'd express. Pisces can help Gemini slow down just enough to feel what they're experiencing, not just think about it. There's room here for growth, creativity, and a lot of laughter in bed, which can be healing for both. But it requires a rare level of emotional intelligence on both sides. If Gemini is emotionally available, a big if, they can learn to meet Pisces in that mystical space where words aren't necessary, where breath and energy take over. And if Pisces can learn not to take Gemini's need for space or banter as rejection, they may find the lightness they secretly crave. But this balance is delicate, and often temporary. More often, Pisces ends up feeling unsatisfied, longing for something that Gemini either can't give, or doesn't realize they're withholding. Ghosting is not uncommon with this combo, especially if things start feeling too real for Gemini. And for Pisces? That kind of sudden emotional disappearance can be devastating. They won't just be heartbroken, they'll replay every moment in their head, wondering what was real and what was performance. Verdict: sexually playful, full of potential for experimentation, and often a whirlwind of creativity. But unless both partners are highly evolved and emotionally tuned in, Pisces may end up feeling emotionally abandoned, while Gemini might feel emotionally smothered. One of the more karmic and confusing pairings, beautiful while it lasts, but rarely built to last. Still, they'll both think about it for years. Pisces plus Cancer. This isn't just sex, this is a soul encounter wrapped in soft sheets and silent understanding. Pisces and Cancer, two deeply emotional water signs, don't meet on the surface. They meet in the depths, in the quiet spaces between words, in the long looks that say more than entire conversations, in the kind of intimacy that feels like being seen for the very first time. When these two come together, the chemistry is so natural, so overwhelmingly tender, it feels fated. Cancer, ruled by the moon, brings nurturing energy into every room, and into every bed. They want to take care of their partner, to protect them, to hold them close even when the world outside feels cold. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, brings emotional fluidity and mysticism. They want to merge, dissolve, and disappear into their partner's soul. Together, they create a love cocoon, warm, safe, and emotionally charged, where physical intimacy becomes a sacred experience. Sex between Pisces and Cancer is slow. Intentional. Not in a "we're trying to be slow" way, but because it feels natural to savor every single second. Every kiss is a confession. Every touch carries emotional weight. It starts with snuggling, lots of it. Soft touches, breath on necks, whispered desires. They make love like they're writing a novel, one chapter at a time. And it's not just about pleasure, it's about connection, about vulnerability, about letting themselves be fully seen. Both signs crave emotional security before opening up physically, which means that once they trust each other, they're all in. There's a symbiotic exchange here. Cancer grounds Pisces' tendency to drift into fantasy, offering stability and emotional presence. Pisces, in turn, brings magic, imagination, and a kind of emotional courage that allows Cancer to be more vulnerable than they usually dare. This leads to lovemaking that's not only passionate but healing, deeply cathartic. It's not unusual for emotions to rise to the surface during or after sex. They might cry. They might laugh. They might hold each other in silence for hours after. And every bit of it feels real, honest, and profoundly bonding. They instinctively understand each other's needs. Pisces doesn't have to explain why they need reassurance mid-moment, Cancer already sensed it. Cancer doesn't have to verbalize a fear of abandonment, Pisces is already holding them closer. They speak the same emotional language. This connection isn't just about sex, it's about the space sex creates. A safe haven where both can fall apart and be put back together, all in the embrace of each other's arms. However, because both are highly sensitive and prone to emotional waves, they can sometimes get lost in each other. Boundaries can blur. Intensity can become overwhelming. If one partner is in a low emotional place, the other may absorb it like a sponge, creating a cycle of codependent energy. It's important that both partners maintain individual emotional health, or their sexual connection, as sacred as it is, can turn into an echo chamber of unspoken pain. That said, even their conflicts tend to be soft and full of love. They'll argue with watery eyes and trembling voices, not raised voices and slamming doors. And usually, it all ends in long talks under blankets and tender reconnection that deepens their bond even further. In bed, this is the kind of connection that feels like you're making love for the first time, every time. Familiar, yet never boring. Comforting, yet exciting in a way that can't be explained. It's the kind of experience where the room disappears, time melts, and all that exists is the rhythm of breath and the sound of two hearts finally finding home in each other. Verdict: a soul-deep, sensual, healing union. Pisces and Cancer create a bedroom dynamic that's equal parts safe haven and romantic dream. Their lovemaking is emotional, intuitive, and unforgettable, the kind of bond that leaves an imprint long after the bodies part. Once you've had this connection, everything else feels just a little less magical. Pisces plus Leo. This is the kind of pairing that walks into a room and turns heads, not because they're loud, but because the energy between them is so charged, it practically crackles. Pisces, the quiet dreamer, and Leo, the radiant star. On paper, they seem like a mismatch. Pisces is all depth and mystery, while Leo is all fire and flair. But in the bedroom, opposites attract, and when they do, sparks fly. The question is, will it be a dazzling firework display or a short-lived burn? Leo, ruled by the sun, thrives on passion, performance, and being the center of attention. Their sexual energy is bold, magnetic, and generous. They want their partner to feel the heat and admire it. They love to be adored, praised, and desired, and luckily for them, Pisces has no problem doing exactly that. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is inherently romantic and emotionally generous. They can easily get swept up in Leo's confidence, their strength, their larger-than-life presence. Pisces doesn't mind giving devotion, especially when it's to someone who makes them feel protected and wanted. In the beginning, the chemistry is undeniable. Leo brings the intensity, Pisces brings the fantasy. Leo's physical passion meets Pisces' emotional surrender in a dance that feels almost cinematic. Sex can be theatrical, full of gestures and drama, and both secretly love that. Leo gets to shine and lead, while Pisces is more than happy to melt into the moment, letting themselves be taken. There's a natural dom/sub dynamic here that can make for incredibly hot chemistry, especially if both are emotionally present. But once the initial fireworks settle, the differences begin to show. Leo wants admiration, not necessarily emotional unraveling. Pisces, however, doesn't separate sex from feeling. For them, physical intimacy is an emotional language. Leo might see sex as an expression of dominance and beauty, while Pisces sees it as a way to merge souls. And when Pisces starts craving subtle emotional cues, deep post-coital conversations, or spiritual connection, Leo might be left blinking, wondering what they missed. It's not that Leo is shallow, they're not. But their natural mode is external, expressive, and fiery, whereas Pisces is internal, receptive, and fluid. Pisces might want to dissolve into Leo, while Leo is trying to shine brightly for Pisces. This can lead to emotional miscommunication. Pisces feels unseen, Leo feels unappreciated. The emotional disconnect in the bedroom might show up subtly: a lack of eye contact, rushed foreplay, a sense of performance over presence. However, if Leo can learn to slow down, tune in, and whisper instead of roar, something they are capable of when they feel truly valued, they can create a deeply safe space for Pisces to fully open. And if Pisces can step into their own erotic power, show Leo that emotional depth doesn't mean fragility, and bring their fantasies to life in a way that invites Leo's fire rather than dampening it, this pairing can become explosive in the best way. When they sync, Leo lights Pisces up from the inside out, helping them feel more embodied, more confident, more seen. Pisces, in return, offers Leo a type of adoration that goes beyond physical. They see Leo's heart, their vulnerabilities, and love them anyway. That kind of acceptance is rare, and Leo knows it. In the best-case scenario, their lovemaking becomes a blend of fantasy and fire, Pisces creating the emotional backdrop, Leo delivering the passion. They might not naturally fall into rhythm like two water signs would, but when they learn to listen to each other's needs, Pisces tuning into their own assertiveness, Leo softening into emotional presence, the sex becomes something unforgettable. Verdict: a magnetic, dramatic, emotionally charged pairing that can either crash and burn or transform into a once-in-a-lifetime connection. If Leo can tone down the performance and tune into emotional intimacy, and Pisces can hold their own center without disappearing into Leo's orbit, this match can create the kind of passion songs are written about, the kind that leaves a mark. Pisces plus Virgo. This is the kind of pairing that proves opposites don't just attract, they ignite. Virgo and Pisces stand on opposite ends of the zodiac wheel, but instead of repelling each other, they create a fascinating sexual polarity that can turn even the most mundane moments into erotic poetry. Virgo, ruled by Mercury, is all about precision, presence, and thoughtful action. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, brings imagination, surrender, and emotional depth. On the surface, they speak entirely different languages. But behind closed doors, they're writing the same story, just from two radically different perspectives. Virgo is often misunderstood as shy or reserved, but that's only because they don't give themselves away easily. They need trust, consistency, and a sense of safety before opening the vault. But once they do, there's an intensity, a quiet power, a deep sensuality that reveals itself slowly and deliberately. Pisces, on the other hand, doesn't wait, they feel. They dive headfirst into vulnerability and fantasy, ready to lose themselves in the moment. This contrast, the composed lover and the intuitive dreamer, creates a natural dom/sub dynamic that neither of them may have planned, but both instinctively understand. In the bedroom, Virgo takes their time. They pay attention. Every sigh, every twitch of Pisces' body is a data point, a breadcrumb leading them deeper into their lover's pleasure map. They're perfectionists, but not in a rigid way. In a devoted, focused, almost worshipful way. Pisces melts under that kind of attention. They don't just want to be touched, they want to be read, like a book with soft pages and hidden meanings. Virgo does just that, slowly peeling back the layers, making Pisces feel not only safe to surrender, but honored in the process. For Virgo, sex is a craft. For Pisces, it's a form of spiritual expression. Combine those, and you get physical intimacy that feels like a sacred ritual. Pisces brings a sense of fantasy to every encounter, infusing it with imagination, mood, and emotion. Virgo grounds that fantasy in the physical, taking the dream and making it real. Pisces, in turn, encourages Virgo to break free from their analytical mind and experience sex as something mystical, fluid, transformative. Together, they create a space where fantasy and reality blur in the most intoxicating way. What truly sets this pairing apart is their mutual desire to give. Virgo wants to serve, genuinely, selflessly. They find pleasure in their partner's pleasure. Pisces wants to be taken care of, yes, but not from a place of weakness, from a place of trust and emotional openness. They want to dissolve into someone else's touch, to feel guided, held, and understood. Virgo's consistency and attentiveness provide exactly that, creating a deeply erotic power exchange that's as healing as it is hot. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Pisces can sometimes feel too emotional or chaotic for Virgo, who prefers order and clarity. Virgo, in turn, may come off as critical or emotionally distant when they're really just trying to fix something that doesn't need fixing. If Virgo starts overanalyzing or offering unsolicited solutions, Pisces might shut down or retreat into their inner world. The key is for Virgo to soften their edges and for Pisces to stay grounded enough to communicate clearly, even when they'd rather float away. But when both partners lean into their strengths and learn from each other, something beautiful happens. Virgo becomes more emotionally open, more imaginative, more in tune with their partner's emotional landscape. Pisces becomes more grounded, more present, more capable of expressing their desires in real time. The sex transforms from just physical pleasure into a full-bodied, full-hearted experience where both partners feel seen, cherished, and awakened. Verdict: this is a sleeper hit of the Zodiac, a connection that most underestimate, but those who experience it never forget. Virgo brings the focus, Pisces brings the feeling. Together, they create a sexual alchemy that's grounded, dreamy, and deeply fulfilling. With trust, communication, and a little emotional bravery, this pairing can go from quietly good to completely mind-blowing. Pisces plus Libra. This is a pairing that feels like it stepped out of a dream sequence in a romantic movie, all soft lighting, whispered promises, and slow dance energy. Pisces and Libra are both hopeless romantics at heart, enchanted by beauty, connection, and the idea of love itself. But while Pisces dives deep into emotional oceans, Libra floats gracefully through the air, chasing harmony and balance above all. When these two meet in the bedroom, the result is a sensual, tender experience, one that feels less like raw passion and more like making love on a cloud. Libra, ruled by Venus, is the zodiac's aesthete, refined, elegant, and deeply seductive. They bring charm, grace, and an intuitive understanding of what their partner wants to hear. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is the zodiac's dreamer, spiritual, emotionally porous, and incredibly giving in bed. These two meet in the space between fantasy and reality, both eager to create an experience that feels beautiful, poetic, and completely removed from the harshness of the real world. Sex between Pisces and Libra is often slow and deliberate, not because they're trying to be slow, but because they're savoring every detail. They care about the setting, the mood, the emotional energy. They're the couple who'll take the time to light candles, pick a playlist, and lay down silk sheets, not just for performance, but because they believe the atmosphere matters. To them, physical intimacy is an art form. Libra brings the finesse, the gentle touch, the eye for symmetry. Pisces brings the emotional openness, the surrender, the sense of magic that makes even the simplest moment feel meaningful. They also share a natural talent for foreplay. Long, teasing kisses. Prolonged eye contact. hands exploring like they're discovering a masterpiece. Libra is an incredible lover when they feel appreciated, and Pisces excels at emotional attunement, often intuiting what their partner needs without words. That dynamic can make for an incredibly satisfying sexual experience, especially at first, when everything feels new and full of potential. But beneath all this softness lies a challenge: depth versus diplomacy. Pisces craves emotional intensity, soulful merging, and a vulnerability that borders on spiritual. Libra, for all their grace, tends to shy away from emotional messiness. They value harmony and may suppress deeper feelings, even their own, to avoid discomfort. This can leave Pisces feeling a bit adrift, like they're swimming in deep water alone, while Libra stays safely near the surface, smiling and hoping everything feels fine. Likewise, both signs have a tendency to avoid confrontation. Libra will bend over backward to keep the peace, and Pisces often retreats into fantasy or silence when something doesn't feel right. In bed, this can mean that real needs go unspoken, or worse, unacknowledged. Pisces may feel emotionally unfulfilled but hesitate to voice it. Libra may sense something is off but choose to maintain the illusion of perfection instead of rocking the boat. Over time, this can lead to a kind of emotional distance masked by beautiful appearances. The key to unlocking the full potential of this pairing lies in honest communication and emotional transparency. If Libra can learn to go a little deeper, not just in dialogue but in presence, and allow room for the emotional messiness Pisces sometimes needs, Pisces will feel seen and safe. And if Pisces can ground their emotions enough to express their needs clearly, without expecting Libra to read their mind, Libra will respond with generosity and tenderness. When that balance is found, the sex transforms from simply sensual to profoundly connective. Libra can teach Pisces the art of receiving pleasure without guilt. Pisces can show Libra how to move beyond aesthetics into emotional authenticity. Together, they create a love that's both romantic and real, tender, yes, but also anchored in mutual care. Verdict: visually stunning, emotionally gentle, and rich in sensual delight. Pisces and Libra create a beautiful sexual experience, full of grace and warmth. But for this connection to truly satisfy, they'll need to move past surface harmony and into emotional honesty. Otherwise, they risk staying in a love story that looks perfect, but feels incomplete. Pisces plus Scorpio. This is the kind of connection that doesn't just happen, it erupts. Pisces and Scorpio don't flirt around the edges of desire, they dive headfirst into the deep end, where sex becomes something far more profound than pleasure. This pairing is a water sign symphony, all about emotional intensity, energetic merging, and soul-bending intimacy. It's not just hot. It's haunting. The kind of lovemaking you don't forget, not because it was wild, though it absolutely can be, but because it changed you. Scorpio, ruled by Pluto and traditionally by Mars, is magnetic, powerful, and relentlessly focused. They approach sex with the same depth and determination they bring to everything else, with full commitment, unwavering presence, and a touch of obsession. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, brings softness, surrender, and an openness that Scorpio finds absolutely intoxicating. Where Scorpio seeks control, Pisces seeks dissolution, a complete release into the experience, the other person, the energy. It's a perfect storm of dominance and surrender, not in a performative way, but in a primal, almost psychic way. The sexual dynamic here is intense from the start. There's a sense of inevitability, like these two were meant to find each other. Scorpio's gaze alone can undress Pisces, while Pisces' vulnerability melts Scorpio's icy exterior. In bed, it's all about deep, sustained connection. Eye contact that feels like hypnosis. Touches that say more than words. Moans that echo with meaning. There's a rhythm they fall into instinctively, one that's less about positions or technique and more about energy, when to press, when to pull back, when to just feel. Scorpio brings a raw, carnal hunger to the bedroom. They want to consume their partner, break through emotional defenses, and merge on a soul-deep level. Pisces is perhaps the only sign that welcomes that kind of intensity without fear. Instead of resisting Scorpio's depth, they dissolve into it, letting themselves be completely taken. For Pisces, surrender isn't weakness, it's sacred. And for Scorpio, control isn't about ego, it's about trust. That mutual understanding creates a sexual space where both feel fully seen, fully safe, and fully unleashed. There's also an otherworldly element to their connection. They might not speak during sex, they don't need to. The energy flows between them like a current, guiding their movements, revealing emotions they didn't know they had. It's not uncommon for this pairing to experience intense energetic release, crying, trembling, even spiritual visions. Their afterglow isn't just physical, it's metaphysical. Lying in each other's arms afterward feels less like recovery and more like rebirth. But with all that intensity comes emotional risk. Scorpio can be possessive, jealous, and emotionally guarded when they feel exposed. Pisces, for all their openness, can be elusive and hard to pin down. If Pisces floats too far into their own inner world, Scorpio may feel abandoned. If Scorpio becomes too controlling or emotionally withholding, Pisces may shut down or slip away without explanation. That's where trust becomes essential. Without it, the very traits that make their sex so powerful, the vulnerability, the intensity, the raw emotional exposure, can become dangerous. Still, when trust is solid and communication is honest, Pisces and Scorpio can create something rare, a sexual bond that heals. Scorpio's depth helps Pisces feel protected, allowing them to open in ways they didn't think possible. Pisces' emotional generosity helps Scorpio feel loved without needing to armor up. Together, they strip away everything superficial, and what's left is a raw, sacred, electrifying truth. Verdict: unforgettable. Pisces and Scorpio don't just have sex, they merge. Their connection is emotional, erotic, and cosmic all at once. With trust and honesty, this pairing becomes a transformative force, the kind of relationship that haunts your memory, lives in your body, and whispers to your soul long after it's over. One word truly does it justice: transcendent. Pisces plus Sagittarius. This pairing is like chasing fireflies through a dream, thrilling, glowing, beautiful, but hard to hold on to. When Pisces and Sagittarius meet, the attraction is real. There's curiosity, laughter, undeniable chemistry. Sagittarius, ruled by expansive Jupiter, comes in hot with a devil-may-care energy, full of optimism, humor, and a hunger for new experiences. Pisces, also co-ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, feels like a different octave of the same song, dreamy, fluid, poetic, and emotionally open. They're both seekers, both romantic in their own ways, both drawn to what feels magical. But their definitions of magic? Very different. In the bedroom, this difference becomes both the spark and the shadow. Sagittarius wants excitement. Pisces wants enchantment. Sagittarius wants a wild story to tell. Pisces wants a soulful secret to keep. When these two come together sexually, the result can be a kind of beautiful chaos. It's the spontaneous hookup after a long philosophical conversation. It's making love under the stars without a plan or a destination. Sagittarius brings the thrill, the freedom, the fun. They'll push Pisces out of their comfort zone, try things Pisces may never have imagined, and create moments that feel almost cinematic in their spontaneity. And Pisces? Pisces brings the heart. The surrender. The vulnerability that turns sex into a spiritual experience. They don't just have sex, they open their soul and invite their partner in. And here's where the tension builds: if Sagittarius isn't truly present, if they're chasing novelty rather than connection, Pisces might fall into them deeply, only to realize there's no one really standing there to catch them. Sagittarius tends to avoid emotional intensity when it feels like it might trap them. They want passion, yes, but without the strings. And Pisces? They are the strings. Silken, emotional, invisible threads that pull everything together into meaning. So, while Sag might think they're having a good time and keeping it light, Pisces might already be mentally planning the emotional sequel. That mismatch of emotional tempo can be devastating if not acknowledged early. But when there's mutual respect, when Sagittarius understands the responsibility that comes with intimacy, and Pisces learns not to idealize or project, the sex can be downright transformative. Sagittarius teaches Pisces how to live in the moment, to stop searching for meaning in every glance, and just feel. Pisces, in turn, shows Sagittarius that depth doesn't have to mean drama, that vulnerability can be freeing, not confining. There's potential here for growth on both sides, but it's delicate. Physically, they're compatible in surprising ways. Sagittarius is adventurous and body-confident, always down to explore new territory. Pisces is intuitive, sensual, and often sexually fluid, willing to experiment as long as they feel emotionally safe. Sagittarius loves Pisces' openness and creativity. Pisces is drawn to Sag's warmth and spontaneity. They might find themselves in a tangle of limbs, laughter, and philosophical pillow talk at 3 a.m., only to wake up and realize they have no idea where they stand. That's the trick with this pairing, the passion is easy, the clarity is not. One of the biggest challenges is consistency. Pisces may start to feel like they're always swimming towards someone who's already moved on to the next horizon. Sagittarius doesn't mean to hurt, they just live forward, fast and free. If Pisces gets emotionally invested and Sagittarius starts to pull away, the aftermath can feel less like a breakup and more like waking up from a dream you didn't want to end. Confusing. Sad. Beautiful. Temporary. Still, for all the potential heartbreak, there's something undeniably valuable here. Sagittarius helps Pisces see that love can be lighthearted. Pisces helps Sagittarius understand that sex can be sacred. And sometimes, the most unforgettable connections aren't the ones that last forever, they're the ones that teach you something you never expected to learn. Verdict: passionate, poetic, and possibly painful. Pisces plus Sagittarius is a whirlwind of laughter, lust, and life lessons. The sex can be wild and unexpectedly moving, but unless Sagittarius slows down and Pisces stops reaching for the stars in someone else's eyes, this ride usually ends with more questions than answers. A wild ride, yes, just don't expect it to last beyond the sunrise. Pisces plus Capricorn. This is the kind of connection that sneaks up on you, quiet at first, unassuming even, but underneath the surface is a tension that builds slowly, steadily, until it finally ignites into something deeply magnetic. Pisces and Capricorn are a study in contrast, one is a dreamer, the other a doer. One swims in emotion, the other climbs through reality. But in the bedroom, this mix of structure and surrender creates a beautifully balanced and unexpectedly erotic dynamic that neither may have seen coming. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, is known for being composed, disciplined, and often a little reserved. But let's be clear, reserved doesn't mean boring. In fact, beneath that cool, controlled exterior lies a potent, focused sexuality. Capricorn may not be the type to lead with flirtation or flash, but when they commit to intimacy, they bring a depth of presence that's commanding, almost hypnotic. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is all about fluidity, imagination, and emotional intuition. They don't need perfection, they need presence. And Capricorn, when they choose to show up fully, offers just that. The dance between these two begins slowly. Pisces moves gently, testing the waters, sensing the emotional temperature. Capricorn may seem stoic at first, cautious about letting someone into their carefully protected inner world. But Pisces has a way of softening defenses without even trying. Their vulnerability isn't weakness, it's invitation. They don't demand Capricorn's heart, they simply leave the door open, trusting Capricorn to walk through it. And when Capricorn does, that's when the real magic begins. In the bedroom, Capricorn's dominance isn't loud or theatrical, it's quiet, assured, and deeply focused. They take their time. They want to understand their partner's body, their reactions, their unspoken needs. Pisces, in turn, surrenders not because they're passive, but because they trust. There's an elegant, almost spiritual dynamic of give and take here. Capricorn leads with purpose, Pisces responds with emotional depth, and together they build a kind of intimacy that feels both grounding and transcendent. Capricorn also brings a surprising amount of kink to the table, not in an impulsive way, but in a thoughtful, controlled manner that Pisces finds irresistibly sexy. Pisces craves to be undone, to lose themselves in someone else's strength, and Capricorn provides that container. There's a deeply erotic quality to the way Capricorn handles Pisces, carefully, intentionally, with just enough pressure to keep things interesting and just enough tenderness to make Pisces feel safe. And Pisces? They bring fantasy. They infuse the moment with color, imagination, and a kind of soulful eroticism that can melt even Capricorn's most well-guarded walls. Capricorn may be used to being the provider, the protector, the planner, but Pisces offers a kind of emotional nourishment that Capricorn didn't even realize they needed. In sex, this translates into something powerful. Capricorn learns to let go, to feel, to soften. And when they do, the connection between them becomes more than just physical. It becomes transformative. The trust here is built slowly, but once it's established, the emotional and sexual bond can run incredibly deep. Capricorn values loyalty and consistency, and Pisces, when feeling secure and loved, offers devotion in its purest form. There's a shared desire to build something real, even if they go about it differently. Capricorn constructs the foundation. Pisces fills it with feeling. Capricorn sets the boundaries. Pisces dances within them, turning them into art. The challenges lie in communication styles. Capricorn may struggle to express emotion in real time, relying more on action than words. Pisces, on the other hand, lives in the realm of feeling and may need more verbal affirmation, more softness, more moments of emotional visibility. If Capricorn can learn to step into that emotional space, even awkwardly, and if Pisces can stay grounded when Capricorn retreats into logic, the intimacy will only deepen. Verdict: a sensual, emotionally complex connection that gets better with time. Pisces brings magic and vulnerability, Capricorn brings structure and intensity. Together, they create a sexual rhythm that's slow-burning, deeply fulfilling, and quietly explosive. It may not start with fireworks, but when it finally catches fire, it burns in a way that leaves a permanent mark. Pisces plus Aquarius. When air meets water. There's something inexplicably hypnotic about the Pisces and Aquarius connection, like watching clouds drift over the sea. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, lives in the realm of intellect, theory, and rebellion. They're the Zodiac's mad scientist, always thinking 10 steps ahead, fascinated by what could be. Pisces, ruled by dreamy Neptune, floats through life with a heart full of poetry, soaking in emotions like a sponge in the rain. They don't just feel love, they become it. And when these two collide, it's as if one is trying to map a dream with data, while the other is painting equations with watercolors. It's beautiful. It's baffling. And it's anything but ordinary. Aquarius might be caught up in building the next utopian future, forgetting to check if Pisces is emotionally drowning in the present. Meanwhile, Pisces might interpret a late text reply or a cold tone as a heartbreak-worthy rejection. The emotional bandwidth here is mismatched, but if they learn to sync, if Pisces learns to give Aquarius room to breathe, and Aquarius learns to validate feelings instead of analyzing them, something surprisingly deep and progressive can grow from the weirdness. The bedroom as a portal. This is where things get steamy and unpredictable. Sex between Aquarius and Pisces is like entering another dimension. Aquarius approaches intimacy like an experiment, bold, curious, and unafraid to test the boundaries of what's considered normal. Toys? Check. Roleplay scenarios dreamed up in 3 a.m. Reddit threads? Absolutely. Meanwhile, Pisces floats in with a soft gaze and a velvet voice, turning the space into a surreal fantasy world where emotions guide every touch. Think incense, whispered poetry, and the kind of eye contact that could crack your soul wide open. But here's the catch: Pisces needs emotional resonance, not just physical novelty. If Aquarius starts to feel like a machine running a pleasure protocol, efficient but emotionally absent, Pisces may begin to feel like just another variable in an ever-expanding experiment. To work, their intimacy has to become a shared journey, not a performance. When they hit the sweet spot, blending emotion and innovation, their physical connection becomes transformative, almost metaphysical. Think less hookup, more psychic fusion. A love that defies logic. What ties these two together, despite the misfires and miscommunications, is their shared love of the weird, the wonderful, the not so easily defined. Aquarius doesn't want a traditional love story, they're building a new blueprint for connection. Pisces doesn't care about logic, they're chasing soul resonance. Together, they create something entirely their own, part dream, part idea, part raw, electric feeling. This relationship doesn't follow rules, and that's exactly why it might work. They'll stumble through misunderstandings, stare blankly at each other across emotional gaps, and sometimes wonder if they're even in the same reality. But in those rare moments when their wavelengths align, it's like watching stars fall into the ocean. Unexplainable. Ethereal. Maybe even eternal, or maybe just a beautifully strange chapter in each other's lives. The truth? This match is not for the faint of heart. It's confusing, erotic, brilliant, and occasionally heartbreaking. Like an avant-garde film where you're not sure what just happened, but you know you felt something. And sometimes, that's enough. Pisces plus Pisces. Mirrors in the moonlight. When two Pisces fall for each other, it's like slipping into a shared dream. They understand one another without speaking, communicating in glances, sighs, and the kind of deep emotional intuition that makes other signs jealous, or confused. Both ruled by Neptune, the planet of illusion, fantasy, and mysticism, Pisces sees love as something sacred and transformative. So when they find someone who mirrors that vision back at them, it's intoxicating. They get each other's emotional tides. They feel the same poetry in silence. They crave the same depth. But here's the catch, in a sea of feelings, who's steering the boat? Without an anchor, this relationship can drift. Neither wants to confront hard truths. Neither enjoys setting limits. They avoid conflict like it's poison, and that shared escapism, while romantic at first, can slowly become a liability. When no one's willing to say, "This hurts," or "This isn't working," emotions fester beneath the surface. It's a beautiful dream, until it starts to feel like drowning. A love that feels like art. Pisces doesn't just make love, they dissolve into it. With two of them in the mix, the bedroom becomes a canvas of fantasy and vulnerability. Everything is about mood, atmosphere, connection. Candles flicker. Music floats in the background. Time stops. They don't just touch bodies, they touch souls. There's a spiritual quality to their intimacy that transcends words, a merging of energies that feels almost otherworldly. But that kind of emotional openness is a double-edged sword. When both partners are this sensitive, even the smallest shift in energy can send shockwaves through the connection. A missed text, a vague reply, a quiet night, it all becomes potential fuel for anxiety. And since neither wants to break the spell with something as harsh as direct communication, misunderstandings pile up. Sexually, they may be magical, gentle, intuitive, endlessly imaginative, but without grounding, that magic risks becoming untethered. Too much fantasy, not enough foundation. The danger of drowning in each other. The biggest challenge with Pisces plus Pisces isn't lack of love, it's lack of structure. Both partners are so open-hearted, so ready to give, that boundaries often blur until no one knows where one person ends and the other begins. It feels romantic, until it doesn't. Until one Pisces starts losing their sense of self. Until both partners are so focused on making the other feel safe and seen, they forget to care for their own emotional health. This relationship thrives on connection, but it needs balance. Someone has to step into a leadership role, even gently, to bring direction. Someone has to say, let's talk about this, when things feel off. Otherwise, they risk falling into a loop of avoidance and codependence, where every conflict becomes a silent storm and every resolution, a quiet hope that things will magically improve. Together, two Pisces can create a love that's soft, sacred, and deeply sensual. But without awareness and effort, they may find themselves trapped in a whirlpool of feelings with no clear way out. It's beautiful. It's dangerous. It's like falling in love with your own reflection, and forgetting how to come up for air. Final thoughts. Pisces brings depth, intuition, and emotional surrender to every encounter. But not every sign is ready, or willing, to meet them there. For Pisces, the best sexual connections are those that feel like more than just skin on skin, they're about energy, empathy, and emotional nakedness. If you can go there with them, you won't just touch their body, you'll touch their soul. Want to keep exploring the stars, the heart, and the bedroom? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out our other Zodiac deep dives, and don't forget to follow the links in the description for more cosmic content. The stars are watching, are you?